Nepal. How a social media ban triggered a political earthquake. In just 1 week, from September 4 to 11, Nepal spiraled from what looked like a technical policy decision into its most serious political crisis in years. It began with the ban of 26 social media platforms. Then came protests led by Gen Z, the parliament set ablaze, Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli forced to resign, and the army stepping in to broker the political scene. By midday on September 11th, the death toll had risen to around 30, with more than 1,000 people injured. The army is now negotiating with young protest leaders to choose an interim head of government, and former Chief Justice Sushila Karki has emerged as the frontrunner. On September 4th of the 5, the Ministry of Information and the Nepal Telecommunications Authority ordered 26 platforms blocked for failing to register under new rules. The list included Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, WhatsApp, and LinkedIn. A few, like TikTok and Viber, were said to have complied. On paper, it sounded like a regulatory step. In reality, it struck directly at the daily lives of Nepal's youth, cutting off communication, education, and employment channels. Watchdogs for press freedom and digital rights immediately warned this would harm access to information and damage the investment climate. At first, the demonstrations were peaceful. But once police used tear gas, confrontation escalated. The parliament building was set on fire. Curfews were declared. Soldiers patrolled the streets of Kathmandu. The international airport had to shut down briefly before reopening in stages. Amid the chaos, Prime Minister Oli resigned. Yet his departure did not immediately calm the crowds. Protesters refused to leave the streets. This was never just about internet freedom. Beneath it lay years of anger at corruption, privilege, and the suffocating presence of Nepo kids, the sons and daughters of elites flaunting wealth and connections. The social media ban became the last straw, silencing the only space where a smartphone generation could mobilize and express itself. Gen Z turned scattered frustration into a political current. They used memes, short videos, and digital networks to flood Kathmandu's sidewalks with protest. After 19 people were killed on the first day of violent escalation, the government had no choice but to lift the ban on September 9th. But by then, the political damage was done. Public trust had collapsed. The image of a state that doesn't listen, only blocks, had been sealed in people's minds. By September 10th and 11, casualties kept rising, first 25, then 30 dead, and over 1,000 injured, according to the Ministry of Health. With Oli gone, a power vacuum opened. In a rare move for post-monarchy Nepal, the army sat down with representatives of the youth movement to find an interim leader. And Sushila Karki, Nepal's first female Chief Justice, is now widely seen as a symbol of integrity and neutrality. The open question is how her appointment could be legitimized within the constitutional framework. Banning social media to fight disinformation may sound defensible on paper, but pulling the plug in a society where 90% of people live online is a profound misread. Nepal has now become a textbook case of censorship backfiring. Tightening control did not suppress unrest, it ignited it. 3 things will determine Nepal's trajectory. First, whether a genuinely nonpartisan interim cabinet can be formed. Second, whether a reform roadmap can tackle the roots of corruption and restore digital freedoms. And third, whether security forces can maintain just enough control to prevent fresh violence, especially around government complexes, political residences, and key infrastructure like tourism hubs and the airport. Nepal did not collapse because of a hashtag. It broke open because of grievances that had been festering for years. When the state chose to shut down the dialogue channel of its youth, the streets became the dialogue channel instead, costly, chaotic, and uncontrollable. The message for every young democracy is clear. Never bring down the hammer of censorship on problems that can only be solved with the pliers of reform.